otherwise I'll be in trouble later. So we're recording the meeting. So if you mute yourself, that would be great. We'll reduce the feedback on this. Anytime you have a question, there's two ways of doing it. You can unmute yourself, ask a question for clarification, or you can put it into the chat log. Mike Havis on my team is with us, and we'll probably have a conversation back and forth about this, because what we're doing is a little complicated, and we're actually going to go through an implementation of doing this in a couple of tables. So our September meeting, if it's not up there right now, it will be very soon, the video of it. Robert Ponzo was setting that up, so he said he'd have September up by the end of the day. It won't take that long next time, trust me. We'll probably have this one up probably by tomorrow. I'm looking for volunteers too, either on topics that you guys want discussed, or if you want to show something you've done. This is supposed to be a collaborative effort between the whole membership, not just me talking about stuff. We can set up panels to discuss stuff. We really need to set up, and maybe it won't be for the next month, but maybe for the month after, maybe for December, we should do a breaking into IT barriers. How do we break down those walls? That overall was the biggest topic that people want to discuss. I think we need to get a lot of different opinions on that. I can get someone from FileMaker also to speak about it from their perspective too, and we can just kind of have a roundtable and get talking about it. So, so today's objectives is to be able to track data changes no matter how you're changing the data. So whether that's from FileMaker Pro, Custom Web Publishing, FileMaker Go, or WebDirect, how can we do that? My biggest objective originally was, well, how do I do audit trails from my iPad? That we can't use plugins to do that. So we're going to show your options, and then we're going to show a demo, and the demo is not a quick demo, so we'll get through it though. The plugins that I'm aware of are CNS plugins, SyncDeck, and MonkeyBread. Once again, they'll only work on the FileMaker. I shouldn't say that. Yeah, actually, I think SyncDeck might have one that only works on the server side. I'm not sure, but we really don't need a plugin to be able to do this stuff, which is the nice thing now. Everyone can do it themselves. I've worked with SyncDeck in the past, and the overhead of it back then was really, really high. I know they came out with newer stuff since I originally did it, but it was really the impetus for me to come up with a better way of doing, especially when the iPads FileMaker Go came out. MonkeyBread I use a lot, but not for audit trails. So this is the way we do our audit trails, and you'll see that in a minute. But I got to tell you, I love MonkeyBread a lot. There's a lot in it that you will utilize. We use MonkeyBread also for HL7 transactions, just so you know. The FileMaker base stuff I've seen is FMHUG, and the other one is Ultralog by Nightwing. We're using basically Ultralog. And let me get to the next layout, and let me go back up. Yeah, let me go down, and then I'll go back to this screen. So we're using this Nightwing product, and it was a starting point. Let me put it that way. We expanded upon what they did tremendously. For me to get better compliance and stuff like that. It's not that expensive for the starting point, so that's why we went there, because you get a custom function, which you'll see in this, and the technique of doing it that can help you out, and there's sample files and stuff like that from them. I'm just going to go back to the previous screen now. Is about the considerations to be able to do this stuff. We have changes. We need to be able to track the changes in fields. So as people are entering data in, we want to capture that information. If we're importing data from another source, let's say it's an Excel file that someone's importing data into FileMaker, we want to capture those changes in data as well. We want to be able to track scripting changes. So if the data's changed based on a script, we want to know that as well. If it's a server-side script, we want to know that information as well. And we want to be able to handle deleting records too. So if we delete a record, we want to know that someone deleted a record, and how do we handle that too? We'll touch upon the deleting of records from a concept. I'm not going to show scripts around that. We'll do that the next time. And but we need to be able to handle the cascading deletes as well. So how we set up this part of the system is really important to be able to handle the cascading deletes of records down below. So the naming conventions are really, really important. This is our naming convention. It doesn't really make a difference. So when we have a parent key called patient ID, we'll do 2 underscores, PK for parent key, another underscore, name what it actually is, and then we'll say that it's a number, okay, for underscore n. That naming convention follows through to all the other tables. So if it's a table that uses the foreign key of patient ID, all we're changing is the P to an F, basically. And the naming convention is important because when we're doing cascading deletes or knowing how records are related to each other in the transaction log, this is how we can know quickly. So we don't want to change the patient ID to Pat ID, let's say, and then we don't know how that relationship goes. So just something to be considerate of when you do your system. So let me get out of here. We're going to move right into the demo. If you have any questions at this point, just unmute yourself and ask them as I'm transitioning over. And let me move that. And that's fine. I'm going to go back into browse mode on this one. So basically, we have a what we call AS core, meaning Antidote Solutions core functionality that we may copy and paste from system to system. So we're going to utilize that to be building another system, pulling in the audit log information into this file that we're going to create right now. So we're going to follow this little recipe, and we'll move it right in. So move that out. We don't see that one. We can get rid of that. Gosh, we got a ton of stuff open on my computer. Let's take off iMessaging so we don't see my wife giving me hugs and kisses or something. Okay, so I have a patient table in here called My Patients. We're logged in here, and there's nothing in here yet. We're going to put it all in. Here's my relationship graph. So I have patients and visits related. We're not going to worry about the staff table. I basically took what we did last week, that same exact file, and moving it into, or last month, and moving it into this new system for the audit trails. So the next thing is we're going to bring in the custom function. And let's see. We're going to go into File, Manage Custom Functions. And we're going to pull our audit ultra log, and we're going to, I guess we need to import it. I'm sorry. We're doing this in a very easy way. So I'm going to go File, Manage Custom Functions. I'm going to say Import. I'm going to set to say where I'm importing it from. Remote. I'm going to go to here. Oh, so is it in the? No. Oh, I could do it that way too. Yeah. Well, let's just do it this way for now since I'm already here. AS Core. Is it in developer or is it in
I think it's on a dev server.
dev?
It's dev.
Sorry. And we're going to move down to the bottom, select Ultralog, bring it right in, and here we go. So this is a relatively complicated custom function. This is from Nightwings. So you can actually purchase this. It's not that expensive for the amount of work that you're saving yourself in doing. So we're going to leave this right here, and this is how we're going to utilize stuff. I don't think we really need to go through this and see the little bit of magic that this is providing. So I'm going to click OK. The next step I'm going to follow my little recipe is that I'm going to create the copying of the fields. So I'm going to come into here, right? And I'm going to copy these 4 fields out of my system. So we have 2 global fields. We have the audit log, which I'll take you into in a minute, and the system modification timestamp rather. And I'm going to bring those into my patient file. And I'll paste them in. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at the audit log file. This is where everything's getting stored until you move it into a transaction log. So if we look at that real quick, it's very simple. It's calling itself. It's gonna trigger when the modification timestamp is updated, and I'm storing all the fields that I want to track in a global field, and we'll get into that. So this allows you the ability of saying which fields you want to track instead of tracking every single field within that table. So we're going to do the same thing again on the visit table, and we're just going to paste those fields in here as well. And I'm going to click OK.
You're going to need a visit anchor.
What do you mean, a visit anchor?
Yeah, in order to push the data to visit. Unless you base the layout off of the buoy.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll add one in there. You're right. So the next thing I want to do is get my start and ending audit log, and we're going to name these exactly the same way that they're here. This part of it is going to allow us to script all the fields that we want to have in the want to call it. Okay, yeah. So let's put that in there. So we're going to create some new layouts. So layout.
Need the table before the layouts.
Well, we have the patient one, and this is going to be. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So let's. Sorry, guys. We're doing this. I wouldn't say ad hoc, but it's not every day when you're trying to do this in about 50 minutes. So let me come in here and I'm going to create the log archive. Actually, I want to go here and just copy it. We have a number of fields in here that we want to do, and you'll look at it once it comes into here. So now I'm going to go into tables. I'm going to paste this table in, and we can look at the fields that it represents. So we're capturing the table name, the file name, script name, and the script name is actually kind of important. So if it was a scripted change to a field, we'll know what script actually triggered that change. And I got to tell you, it is so helpful in knowing what actually might have modified the actual data. I'm going to click OK. Now I'm just going to go over to that log archive table that was just created. We don't really need any fields on this, but I'm just going to change. You know what? I'm going to check that out. We actually want to look at this, so yes, you can see what's going on. So I'm not going to save that. I'm going to leave it that way, but I'm going to make it a table view. Okay, and then I'm going to create 2 more layouts. And so my new layout's going to be, and we call it over here. Let me just over a little bit. It's going to be just called audit log.
Audit log, one word, space, dash, space, start.
And that's going to tell me where I want to start my audit log find to find all the tables that I want to include in the audit log. It's just a placeholder. That's all it's doing. And I'm finished. And then I'm going to create another one. Actually, I could just duplicate that other one. So layout, duplicate that layout, layout setup, and then I'm going to change this name from start to end. Okay. And so those are my two placeholders. So when you see when I bring in the scripts, what we're going to end up doing. So I'm going to go back one. I'm going to go into my relationships real quick, and I'm just going to create another table called just straight up visits. So we can have both patient and visits on here. And I'm going to click OK. I'm going to create a new layout. You'll notice that it's going to be in between the start and the end. And this one's going to be based on patient. And we're going to call it, it doesn't really matter what you call it, but I'm just going to call it audit log patients. As long as it's between the start and the end, that's all that really matters. Right now you see that there are no fields on it, and we'll get back to it in a minute after I create the visit one. So I'm going to create another layout, and I'm going to make this visits. I'll call it, there goes our train. Now we're finished. So if we look now, and let's go to manage layouts for a second. And I'm going to create a new folder here for us, and I'm just going to call it audit log. And I'm just going to put these four things in here. That way it just makes it easier so we can separate them out a little bit better. So we have this patient end. So we have now that the start, patients, visits, and then end. So this just allows us now to go to this layout. Then we're going to go to, then we're going to script through patients and visits and grab all the fields that we want to track in it. So I'm going to now close this up. I'm going to go back to patients, and I'll use my little field picker, and I'm just going to correct the fields that I actually want to track on this, and that's all. It's the only thing I want to track. I don't need to put my primary key on this field, okay, because it will automatically track the primary key regardless. But when we go to the visit table, I'll save that. We're going to want to track the patient foreign key in here, so we know what things belong to. So I'll throw that on here though. So that's it with kind of the setting up of all the fields I want to track. So anytime you create a new field you want it in the audit log and you want to track it in your audit log, you just go to the layouts here and you just throw it on there. So the next step here is the relationships. So we have some relationship conditions here that we want to do, so we'll quickly add those in here as well. So let's go into the relationship graph. We have our log here. I'll just duplicate that. And do we have naming conventions for it, Mike?
It has to be the base table underscore log.
Oh, this is going to be the base table, the log?
The log file, the name is going to be base table underscore capital L, capital O, capital G. That's
Where
the
do you
name
have
of the
that?
table object.
So so it'd be like patient then. We want to move this back to patient, okay? And then we want underscore just log, okay? And then we'll attach this. Oh, this is the log table though. Sorry, I'm a little slow today. It is Friday. I guess I may have 1 foot out the door. I don't know. And then we're going to create relationships based on this. So we'll have, I could just quickly just put something there and then I'll open it up and then I'll do the right thing. So we're going to do our related to serial number, okay, which is that. And then I'm going to add a second one. Hate when that happens. And then I'm going to add a second one, which is my SysUID. In this case, it's my patient primary key to the key field that's on this side, the data ID here, and I'm going to change that. Okay. So this two relationship needs. The other thing that's important that you need to do is to turn on allow creation. Now I've gone over this with Mike in my office, and what we're trying to accomplish here is automatically creating new record in the log as we loop through things, and having this global to the serial number that's being set in the log. This is an auto create serial number. Automatically then populates the log as soon as you begin to set a field on the right hand side. It's almost counterintuitive in some ways. I always thought you'd need to have the left-hand side already set, but not with a global field. Okay, so pretty cool. Then we'll do the same thing with visits. So I'm just gonna duplicate this. I'm gonna put visits over here, and then I'm gonna duplicate this just to save some time. And I'll put, and then let's get this here. Let's go to here. Let's get relationships changed. And then we're going to do the primary key to the data ID field. I'll add that one too. Turn on creation of records. And I'm going to change and make sure this says visits. Okay. That's all you need to do for the relationship side of this the whole system. Okay. And now I'm going to click OK. And we'll go back to what our next steps are going to be for this.
Copy the scripts.
So we'll come in here now, and I have scripts, and we'll go through the scripts. And once I get them copied, I'm in the right, yeah, I'm in AS Core. Here we go. We need to copy these 4 scripts. So I'll just actually copy the whole folder. Hit copy. Because at this point we can copy them over because we have we already created all the fields and stuff for them. So let me just close this one and let's paste them in, and here they are. And so let's look at the prep log. Oh, I don't have a of course I didn't do my set error capture. We have our standard set error capture, but just for expedience, let me just delete that out and put set error capture in on. Okay, you'll see them every single layout now. So let me save that. So what this is doing is we want to go to the layout auto log start, and then we'll get the layout number, and then we'll loop through them, and we'll pick up. It's going to set the audit log field that we created, and just pre-populate it basically with a setup. Okay, that's all it's doing here. You'll see what it's going to look like in a second. What we're doing is you're going to be capturing what the record or what the field changed from and to. So if I changed the first name field from Tim and put an E at the animated time, you would actually see that on the same line in it. So let me save that. The next one is the audit log startup. This one is done at the beginning of when a person logs in. Okay, and this once again brings us to the audit log startup, gets the number, goes to the layout, and then we'll get the layout name. It'll exit the script if we're already at the end, so we're in this looping process. And then we'll get the table name here, and we're going to set the fields based on that table name. So this is called visits, right? Let's say we're on the visit one, and then we're concatenating our global fields where we want to store all the fields for that. Two, and we're using a design function of FileMaker called field names, which will get all of the field names that are currently on the layout based on getting the file name and the layout name. So it's really, really, you can see how, what's the word I'm looking for? Just like it's dynamic and easily kind of suitcase to another solution in this way. Portable, thank you. Archive log data. Once again, I'll take this out and let's get and set error capture. And this is the which will go in a lot more detail, but this is actually where the magic starts happening, where we're taking the data from the log file, from it's stored locally in the table to moving it to the transaction log. Typically, we'll make the transaction log a separate file. We wouldn't embed it in the same solution. Here, we're doing it just for expedience. The reason for that is the file size can get large over time, and it is in a chronological order, obviously, of every single change that's been made in the database. So you can archive it at any point. Let's say every year you want to archive it, or you want to keep only the last 365 days. Excuse me. You only want to keep the last 365 days in the system, something like that. And that would just make it easier to manage. The backups would be smaller, stuff like that, because it will get large over time. Because you got to remember, there'll be a record for every single field that's been modified every single time. So I'm going to get out of here so we can move into the next phase of this. So we want to place the audit log in the startup script. So we'll come back to here. I'm not sure if I even have a startup script for this, but we can set it up. So here I want to switch to the new patient layout that I created instead. And on the startup, I'm going to create a first open script, which is just going to hit the audit log startup. Okay. And the only thing I might want to do, actually, I didn't have a startup script, so maybe I should create one, because they're going to end up being on the last audit log page. So what we can do here is create a new change. Let's just do a new startup, call it startup. Come on, new. Startup. We're going to go just reform script, and we're going to check this one out. Then we're going to go to layout. We're going to go here, and we're going to the patient view, and after that, I'm just going to show all records, or show custom doggle, whatever it takes. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to my file options, and we are going to go into script triggers. We're going to change this to being my startup file, startup script. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to the patient view real quick, and I'm going to just throw out there that field, so you can see what's going to be happening when we execute that initial script. So here are all the fields that we're going to want to track for our audit log, and I'll put that there, and then I'm going to put the audit log field out here of what's changing as we're doing it. So which is this one here. Okay, and I'll save that. Okay, so nothing, we don't have anything in there right now. I guess I should just put my script debugger on so you can see kind of what's happening. And then I'm going to execute. I guess I could execute my startup script, but I'll just.
It's going to take you to the place.
Yeah, let's do it from here, from there, and let's hit play. So we're going to go into it. It's going to take us right to the start layout that you can see over here. Let me see if I can get, we have this is where we love dual monitors, right? So I'm going to get the layout number. I'll open this up so we can see kind of what's going on behind the scenes a little bit here. I'll throw that on here. And then we're just going to quickly step through. So we're going to go to layout 10 then. And once we're on here, we're going to now set the global field, so all the fields that are currently on that layout. And since it's a set by field, set by name, it's not going to show up in my watch list. And you'll see it when we come back. And then we're going to go to the next layout, which is going to be the visit layout. And you see that changes the visit. We're going to commit that. And then we should be exiting out at this point because we're on the last one. And we're going to go back to the main view and do show all. So now we have some data in here. We have our first name, last name, and date of birth. It's the only three fields I want to track on this layout. So if I make changes to males, I'm not going to have any changes in here because I'm not tracking the gender. Okay. If I come in here and make a change and put E at the end of Brown, now all of a sudden I have a change in here and we'll end up picking this up. So obviously, maybe you do, maybe you don't, it doesn't really make a difference. Maybe you want this on the layout, maybe you don't. But what the next phase of this is that we're going to end up posting this at certain times to the server. And this is where we can make some changes to how you do it. You can either have it at the user level do it, which I don't really trust, but in a hosted solution, I want the server to do it, and you can set up in any increment of how often you want to do it. And that's the script that we're going to go through next, and this is where we start getting it into the transaction log. So that said, I'm just going to pause here for a minute and ask people if they have questions at this point. So please unmute yourself if you have questions, and then we're going to go into how we're going to post it to the transaction log. Okay, is this you think this is getting to be overkill? What's the right level? Okay. I know this is a little bit complicated, and a lot of it you don't really need to know what's going on, especially with the custom function. Let me go post it. Do we have a question, Mike?
Dan has a question.
Okay.
Dan, here we go. It requires that you track who is viewing a layout also.
That's true, and we've done that as well. What you can have. What we've done is two things. In a list view, we don't track who looks at a record from a list view perspective. So if you're showing a list of patients, I'm not tracking that list view. When they go into the detail view, I've done a script trigger to track that someone has actually entered onto that layout and has visibly seen information. So once they got to a layout like this, that's how I do it. How do we do that? Well, it's actually not that hard when we set up the script trigger, and we actually post it to a different log called a view log as opposed to a transaction log. In there, we're going to track the primary key, the layout name, and the primary key of what they did, and that automatically gets posted over to the transaction log almost right away. We could store it locally too and do the same thing here so the server would pick it up and push it over. Because what I find is I like to use the script triggers for other stuff, and maybe we'll put this on the list to do when we talk about the deletion of records is also the view log too, and we'll have a demo for it.
Dan points out that you can also track a found set in a list view, which is a new, I think it was a 13 function. You can grab all the primary keys that are in the found set.
Yeah. I Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could do that. I'm not sure what's overkill. When you look at most systems out there now, I mean, even if it was Epic and stuff, they're really not tracking the fines and stuff. They're only tracking, and a lot of them don't even, most of the EMRs are not even tracking the views, although it is a HIPAA requirement. They're only tracking if they've actually gone into it and looked at. I shouldn't say that. There are logarithms that set up alerts and red flags if they're key personnel that people go into, but they aren't tracking every single time someone views information in the system. They're more about alerts and putting flags onto VIPs than anything else. So, but yeah, I'll look at Richard Carlton's video as well, and then we can. But let's put that for the next one, and I think that will be a good thing to, because I don't think the deletion and creation will take that long, and I think we can go into the view log stuff as well. We've done it in other systems. The other systems that we've done it on, we've actually scripted it, but when you look at this makes a lot more sense of not scripting it, storing it locally, and having the server pick it up, so that way it can free up the script triggers for doing it. Okay, so I'm going to move on to how do we get the data out of this audit log field and push it into the transaction log. One of the things, and we're probably going to make a modification to it, because I don't think it's that important to know what it changed from and to. I just need to know what it is right now in this current state. And that's also the only requirement that is from HIPAA. They just need to know what's changed. And if you think about it over time, if I wanted to look up this primary key for the field called PHI last name, I can do that search in the database and I'll see a chronological history of every time that field's been changed. So I don't care about the before and after at that point. So I'm going to go into bring up my script debugger again. I'm going to bring up my script workshop, and I'm going to, gosh, I wish I had another screen here. Let's, so you guys can see. Let me create a, I guess I have to get out of this. I'm going to close that. We'll have two windows open for you. And I'm going to make this other one a table view. I don't think we're going to be able to see it. I'll make the other one smaller. So let's go to the log archive. There's my table view. I'll leave this open to the side. I'll not minimize, but make this a lot smaller because I'm going to run it off of that. And then I'm going to open up my script debugger. And let's come to heat. I don't need that open right now. And don't need that open. Okay, where the heck is it? So we have script debugger open. Let's open up the workspace, and I realize I closed it. And we're going to archive and log the data. So that's
click the My Patient window.
Oh, click on here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Got to make sure we have the frontmost window being My Patients, otherwise the table that I want you to look at is not going to it's going to go away, basically. So and I'm going to click display. So I'm coming in here. Let me move that away so we can see behind here. And I'm going to step through it. So I'm going to reference what field I'm on right now. I'm going to now go over to the start the audit log. So we're going to go to that layout. And we're using the same exact layouts that we're using to on the startup to also set the fields in the transaction log. So as we come through here, we're going to, you would think that it would go down with you, but why would scrolling work? So we're setting the name of the table. We're getting the get record number, and we're setting whether we want to clear it at the end. So if you wanted to keep all the audit log information in that history thing, you would do that. It doesn't really make much sense, but it has that functionality of doing it. And then we're going to go to the first record. Um, and then we're going to step in, and we're going to come through. We're going to get all the records out and get into the log entry that are currently in the audit log, and remove the prep, I think, area comes out as well. So the prep data was the data that was gray in the box in the beginning of the audit log field. And then we're just going to go through, and we're going to set the fields, and we haven't found one yet to set because we're going through the prep stuff first, or these fields don't have it. One of the things I noticed that instead of doing show all records in the beginning, we just want to find on that audit log field to know what's open in there, and then we can post it. So now we have something to post, and you'll see here automatically it starts creating the records in the table view window, and then we have previous, and then it'll come out, and then we'll loop to the next record, and once it's done, it's done. And then we'll go through the visit table, and there isn't anything in the visits right now. We haven't done anything with it. And now we're in the visit layout and see if there's anything. This open record is really important. The open record, especially on the server side, will check to make sure that you have access to the record before you try and get the data out of it, because you can get the data out of it, but you can't then clear the audit log from it because someone else is locking the record. So we want to make sure that we have the record unlocked, and then we'll lock it by doing the open record command. We'll do what we need to do. We'll clear out the audit log, and then we'll close the record after we're done. Because it doesn't matter if it's locked. We'll just get in the next script cycle of it. So it's not a big deal if you don't catch it the first time. And so we'll quickly go through this again, and then we'll set this up. And I don't think there's anything in here on the visit side. Well, there is one record, but this was added before.
There were no changes made.
Yeah. So now we're done, and we only have the one record in here. So I'm going to close the script debugger up. I'm going to go back to my patients for a second, and I'm going to add some data in here on this record, and put 6/7, and it's a routine visit. Doesn't matter what it is. Now I'm editing a portal, and now I have the ability, once I click, and we'll just let it run real quick on its own, and post it. So when we go back to our transaction log, you'll see that we have information in here about it. Now there's additional cleanup work that we could actually do, because we're getting data in here that can be potentially, you can consider false positives. We're tracking some fields in here and visit dates and whatnot, and we do have it. Why didn't they come in?
Something's wrong.
Looks like I did something wrong here, because we should have data in these fields. So let's go over and look. Let's see what the heck went wrong with this. Let's copy these fields, and I didn't create a layout that is a form view of patients, or did I? Yeah, I guess we could use this. But I need to change this to the local visits. And I know I'm not following my anchor buoy very closely here, so I apologize for that. And then let me change the audit log to be local to the table. Okay. So these are the 3 fields that we're tracking. Okay, we have question marks in here. And let's put another field on here that we can change, like the visit date or something like that. And let's see what happens. So I'm going to change this to 16. We have visit information in here. Don't know why this question mark would have come through that way. And then if I go to post this, let's see what happens when I go to post it. Where is my script space? Let's run it. Yeah, it's not picking up the visit date. Interesting. It was there.
Oh. What did we change? There was a
Did we not?
file name. Is it grabbing the table name? Those are the only changes we made. The table name and the file name in the script.
We have visits here. Oh, why would that be here? Do we have that layout on the startup field? No. I'm not sure what we did wrong. Interesting. This is visits. Anyone know what we did wrong? You always hate live demos, right? Well, we'll figure it out and we'll let you know. And I'm sure it's something stupid because it's working on the patient table. I don't know why it would be working on the sub-visit table when everything's the same. We can double check the fields for the visit.
It worked on the visit. It just didn't grab
the right stuff.
It posted the fields until they're wrong.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So maybe it is the table name, and and it might be because actually it looks like we might have visits in there double. I don't know.
It's the layout and then the field.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's part of the script. We can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had made a change to it before, just so you know. Let's go back to the audit log, the log archive, real quick, and we'll show you what changes actually we made. Let me go into layout. We do have the tables on here, so let me minimize the screen here and go to the right. So what we're doing is we're capturing the patient table and the visits and the name of the file. So you could have multiple files that are going to push data to the transaction log. Okay, and in fact, none of these have the new value in here. Actually, that I'm looking at it, I didn't realize that. We have the old, so we'll figure out what was parsing wrong. I wonder if it's that one change I made to the script now.
I think yeah.
So let's go back to the script real quick, and we'll take it out. What we're trying to do was we were grabbing the table and editing it to it.
Move them to the end instead of where they are.
This one, right? We want to take this out.
No, I don't think that's
the one we were doing.
Oh,
right?
you put table at the beginning.
Yeah. So let's take that out for a second and save that. And because what it was supposed to do was everything's not mapped correctly. That's part of my problem. The fields are not getting set correctly. So this looks like the table. I think that may be part of my problem is that we didn't map. The set fields are not getting mapped the right way in here. Over here it looks fine, my patient's table, but the script name certainly isn't. These would be the field names.
Previous value.
Layout names, the layout name is right. So we must be missing something in the script step.
It's the script name, the previous value, and the new value are mapped, right?
Yeah. Okay. So let us go back and fix that, and then we'll. But we can actually show you. And there's no data in here, and I can show you one other thing that we were working on, which is UT pathology. Um, very simple solution, but this is where we put stuff in here too. So I threw up here just the audit log field. Yeah, go ahead.
Caleb wants to know, when do you trigger the archive log data script?
We do it on the server side on a schedule that's about which you can set whatever you want it to be, but I think like every 10 minutes, and then the server side will post everything to the audit log or the archive. Um, that way you free up resources and don't use script triggers on the client level. That's what I wanted to do, was to free up the script triggers, because inevitably whatever layout you go to, you want to use a script trigger. In the past, I've been using it when you navigate, we'll look for stuff and post, but that makes the screen flicker and stuff like that, or you don't get to where you want to go as quickly. So we'll just make it on the server side. It makes it much more quickly. Much more quickly? Gosh.
Another
My
option,
wife's a teacher, and she'd be killing me right now the way I speak.
another option, thanks to 13 or 14, is to just do the perform script on server when you
Yes.
exit a layout, so it doesn't pause the client and it still posts everything with minimal overhead.
That's another great option too. So when you exit the layout, you could actually post it right away by doing that too, if you wanted that as well. It would go through the whole database though, and find everything it needs to do. So you want to use that sparingly.
Right.
Or you could be more specific and make it just specific to this record and post it along that way as well. So let's. So I wanted to show this off then, how it's actually working. And I'm just going to come in here and go to archive log, and let's post this one now. We should have, since we have some data in here, and we just removed all the data. Now we can go to the log archive and see that we just posted it, and all the data is going into the right place. So we have I edited the account with Antidote. This is the field that we modified. This was the previous record, and this is what it is now. Okay. And the things that we just added for the demo was to add the file name and the table names. So maybe we screwed something up there when I went and did that. So, but you can see everything's in the right column based on the same exact scripts that we implemented and we're showing. Well, obviously not exact, but basically the basis for the same scripts. Anyone else have any questions at this point? I'd like to quasi make this available to you, or if you want something to give you something, uh, remember there's licensing around this with Nightwing that you really need to purchase, and I don't know from a licensing agreement I can give you away at the very least the custom functions and some of the functionality that was around that. So I think it's worth buying it, and because it brings you that much further along. I mean, if you just have one solution, it's just under $300 or right around $300, which was just a few hours of time.
Dan has a question.
Yeah, Dan?
Dan says all of this will work if I deploy to an iOS device, right?
Yes, absolutely. That was the main goal of the whole thing. The initial thing was to have it work on the iPad inherently. And it'll work with custom web publishing. It'll work with anything, importing an Excel document, anything you do and modify the records. This will work as well. So remember, what's triggering it is the system modifier, the system modification timestamp that we created. That's what triggers it. So anything that will make that modification timestamp update will work with this.
Caleb has a question. What if your FMGO solution is running locally and it's not hosted?
It would then be in that solution. So we would store it in a local archive of that solution too. later on, we actually do this at another client, and we actually push the transaction log to the server from that as well, so we don't have to redo it. So you could do it that way too, and just push the log up when you want to go sync something, if that's what you're doing, if you're doing some syncing. Any other questions? I can't believe actually I got this done under an hour, although I don't know if I exceeded and getting 100% on this since stuff went into the wrong fields. But please, guys, I can't urge you enough to also volunteer to, help present. I don't think everyone wants to hear from me constantly and getting new perspective on stuff. Um, it's going to be helpful. Um, and Yeah, Caleb, it would go into your archive log data table. Is that the question?
The question is, in that case, if it was local, you would just run the archive log data script on a trigger, and yeah, you could use the onClose script trigger at that point.
Yeah, yeah, because it's not that important for it to be done right away. So I think it's fine to do it on the on close of the application, and it would store it there. And yeah, anyone who want to talk more about it, Caleb, you can certainly give me a call. That's fine, and we can go through it, or you can talk with Mike here as well, who kind of wrote up the instructions for how to do it for us internally. And we're always looking to improve upon it. This has been an iterative process for us. We've gone, as I said before, from plugins. And then when FileMaker Go Out came out, at a certain point, we're like, wait a second, we need to do this on without plugins because we need to get this deployed on iPad solutions. So that's when we went to the non-iPad. We generated stuff through script triggers, going on to layouts, seeing all the fields that were on it. That caused more problems than I shouldn't say cause more problems. It didn't cause any problems. So the issue is that it's very hard to completely control the environment. So by storing the data that's been changed locally to the record based on script triggers, which has been around for a long time, not script triggers, by the auto calculation or auto enter, that makes it much more easier to manage, and then you push the data to wherever you want to go after it's been stored there.
Dan wants to know if the files are on the Healthcare User Group website.
Well, I got to figure that out, guys, because I don't know if I can, because there's licensing around it, so I can't just give away the Nightwing custom functions and the derivative work that we've done that was based on their work. So we have to figure that out, and I'll let you know. But the main thing was to tell you how to do it. I can give you more information about it too offline, and their current version by Nightwing is very helpful, but it doesn't do what we did by going to another layout, picking up all the field. It was hard coded into the system of what fields you needed to track.
It's not as dynamic.
And so we try to make it much more dynamic and easier to implement in the long run too, by using those global fields and capturing using the design functions of FileMaker. Okay. If there aren't any more questions,
Caleb wants to know could you post it if they bought the license from Nightwing?
Yeah, I can give it to you directly. I can't post it, but I can give it to you directly. Or we'll put a little thing around this and up on the website, on the FileMaker HUG website, so that we can discuss this. I should probably reach out to, why am I forgetting the guy from Ray Colligan, and seeing if what his suggestions are for me posting it, okay, to people. And so we'll move forward, and we'll figure out next month. We'll go through deletes, and we'll do the view log. I want people to volunteer though to help with the panel, or trying to get someone that you'd like to be on the panel for December on that we want to talk about how to penetrate the IT walls that are out there. Okay, and I'll definitely get someone from FileMaker on that with us, and then I'll try and get someone from IT from a hospital, maybe in New York. That's friends that I'm friendly with. I think that would be helpful as well.
Jonathan and Dan suggest posting it without the custom function.
Yeah, it's not, the custom function is overall not the huge key to it. We can modify the custom function to be completely different because there's only a few things that we actually really need to manage in the custom function. And so that potentially that may be helpful.
Yeah, the custom function just creates the original cache of data that's going to be posted to the log. So it's important to have that element of it, but we could probably modify it in a way that it doesn't use any of Ultralog's code.
Yeah, because all we really need to know is the timestamp, the field, who did it, and the value of the field, the new content of the field. We don't even really need the old content of the field. So from that perspective, oh no, now this can be online. This is going to be, but that's really all you really need to do with the custom function. Okay. It's basically the only part that we use of Ray's code is the custom function. We did start out with some of the field names are exactly the same that he was using too. So it's easily to say that it is derivative work from what he has actually done, and I want to be clear about that, and I'm being honest about it too. So I'm not making it my own stuff, but we did look at what he had done and expanded upon it much more greatly. And I haven't shared it with him, and in fact, I really don't know Ray personally at all. So I should reach out to him, maybe do a Skype with him and discuss it. Okay. Any other questions? You can certainly email me. You can call me or Mike in my office. Let me just give you our phone number if I go back to the keynote. And I don't have it on there, so let me throw it in there real quick. Yes, thank you. Great. Come on. That's everywhere, right? It's just unbelievable. 516-873. I know it's not showing up. 0030. You can ask for Mike or myself, and let me just show it up there real quick. Okay, this is our main number. My extension's 100. Mike's is 103. And if you have any questions, just email me. And we'll either Mike or I will get back to you on it. Okay. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate all of your time. We went a little bit over just with questions, which I think is a good thing. And we'll talk next month. Anytime if you want to talk about other topics between now and then, we can still use the FMHUG forums. I think I need to set my thing so I get the emails from them or a daily digest. Robert Ponzo kind of is the webmaster for that, so I can ask Robert if there's a way to get a daily digest at the very least. I know there's not much work going through there or much activity there, but if we all kind of do a daily digest and you might see what's going on, we can help people out at least by the next day. Okay, thanks so much. Talk to you guys soon, and look forward to talking to you in November. We're meeting the third Friday of each month. I do not believe that is Black Friday, but let's just double check here. Let's just go to November down here. And the third Friday is the 20th, and Black Friday is the 27th. Okay, so we'll talk to you then. Thanks so much. So November 20th is the next FileMaker group meeting. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Let's see, there was a topic.
Recording.